Hello everyone and welcome to the fourth episode of the Frame podcast. You probably heard that's Dewan's phone. It's alright, it's probably something to do with us starting recording, but I'm here with Femi and Dewan as usual. How are you guys?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, we're probably going to have some audio issues, but we're going to try and prevail through them as much as we can. But yeah, last week we were talking about AI and stuff, and I was looking at as well. Recently, I had a friend in Singapore, right, and they've got robotic like dog kind of things that walk around with cameras on to maintain that people are doing social distancing, and literally just going around the parks. And it's not actually going to do anything, but they've got cameras on it, so they can. It's quite a strict country, but they stop and they fine people if they're like coming out and they're not obeying these laws. I just thought that was crazy. And it's like literally, you know, the robots you've seen on the what's it called, Boston Dynamics, the research, the one that's on YouTube a lot. It was one of them ones as well. Yeah. I was like, man, this is turned into like Terminator.
Obviously now they're using drones to pass parcels over from one point to another. Amazon drones, and then obviously the drones they're using nowadays to obviously do parcel packaging deliveries. Because back in the days you have someone to, back in the days check on your meters readings and things like that. Now it's turned into smart meters, and now these poor people who passing letters through to the postal. Maybe we won't even have that anymore. There will be some Android drone device coming in and saying, "Please pick up this parcel while we are here." Some weird situation in the future. It's quite crazy, isn't it?
It's crazy. But
no. Yeah, it's the same as well, because I was watching I was watching like one of Joe Rogan's podcasts, and Elon Musk was on there, and he was talking about that maybe 10 years from now we're gonna be able to have some chip or technology embedded into our heads, and that would allow us to be able to communicate without talking. So we're all going to be able to read minds in
so that's across languages as well. Crazy how that'll automatically translate.
Yeah.
So even
I don't even know. Yeah, what's that? Nah. It's crazy how fast technology is growing. Like it's unbelievable, But if let's say that does happen, let's say 10 years from now, and it does become that what all you need to do is get a chip telepathically with anybody. Would you do it?
I don't know, man.
Do it?
I don't know. It depends on what, and also we're not gonna lie, I don't really care for what most people think. Do you know what I mean? Like most of my thoughts are like kind of shit. Like on the honest level, like I'll be sitting there and sometimes I'll be doing work. I was thinking, oh, what about like I don't even know what I was thinking about today, but my brother was like, what are you doing? And I've just zoned out looking at his plate while he's taking food, at dinner yesterday, and I don't even know what I was thinking about. So I know what you mean. It is weird though. Like, but this is the stuff that's been in sci-fi for like years, hasn't it? Like the implant in the brain, or just like the touch their head and they can make a phone call and stuff like that.
Yeah. Or like Minority, with the they had to do iris scanners to identify the person, who they are. Maybe we'll get to that area as well. I mean, a lot of the technology is going to be using biometrics to instead of an ID card.
They've got that already. I swear to God, when I went over to the US, right? So I flew from Japan to Hawaii, right? And I landed in Hawaii. I'm jet lagged as hell, but I had to go through. It's called an ETSA, which is like basically it's a visa to let you in for 90 days. I was like, okay, cool. Filled all the previous stuff out online, and trust me, that form is not a ball ache, but it's like are you sure you're coming to? Have you ever been involved in terroristic activities? And I'm just like, what, are you going to try and catch people out? Going, oh yeah, oh, you're not allowed. Like, it's so dumb. Are you planning to partake in prostitution and narcotics and stuff like that? And you're like, shut up, guys. Anyway, you fill out this form. Then when you get there, they scan your face, they take your fingerprint, they scan your passport. What else? I think that was everything. But the fact is, they took my fingerprint, they took my face scan, with probably the eye scan as well. And I know that some airports in Japan, they actually have that as ID as well. So you can go in and scan your eye, and as long as you've got that on the database, you can enter an airport, and like without even a passport, which I think, I don't know without a passport, but you can use your eye to scan, which I think is crazy.
Wow. I mean, we do have the technology things, but I'm not sure. Obviously, there's always a second option where there's always has to be a paper information to confirm those details. But maybe in the future we won't need that anymore. It will be just an iris scanner or a fingerprint or something like that. Will give you, provide all the information that the government or whoever needs to retrieve from you, and that's basically it. I mean, even maybe the banks, you just have nowadays we have just mobile just to pass everything over. We don't even have cash anymore. Things are done by a card payment, and that's all done virtually. It's just a unique world that we live in, and AI, as they call it, taking over quite a lot and retrieving all this information. And if the AI has all the information they need about you, then why are they going to ask questions? Maybe they'll just say, what's your name? This is my name. And then they know who you live with, who's your wife, who's your children, everything you need to know.
And they can terminate.
Scary at the same time.
Yeah. I know, right? It's crazy. Because it's like, imagine we build AI to become where they become self-aware. What do you think? Do you think they would want to obey human commands? Like, imagine, like, even take we humans as example. We don't know who created us, right? But we are here, right? And we do whatever we want to do. We don't care, right? So imagine if we created an AI, we created AI, and they become self-aware. They ain't gonna listen to what we have to say, man. Eventually, they'll want to do their own thing and just want to do whatever they want to do, really. And it is a bit scary to think about it like that, It might actually become like Terminator.
It's just like retrieving all that information. Like, is it necessary for the government to know what website you last logged onto, or be doing a Skype meeting? Is that necessary for the government, or what person WhatsApp? I mean, what's that all about? There's two things.
I understood that. Yeah. And because on Facebook. On Facebook, I found this. I think someone on my Facebook friend list posted a article basically showing how you can go on Facebook, and Facebook has a feature where it stores every single website and every single apps.
Yeah, you can get that information for free,
on your phone. Yeah. I know, but that's crazy. Why though? Why is it storing all of it?
Do you know what was scary for me? Go on. So I did it a while back, and I was like looking at it, and basically all the websites I've clicked on, all this, all that, or like all the stuff that I've clicked on, all the Facebooks. I've like, the weird one is it stored the mobile numbers of people I didn't even have on Facebook anymore. So literally on my phone, I said like a load of plus 44 numbers, and I'm like, who's this? And so I went to it. I put in the number on my phone. Then I went to WhatsApp and looked at the picture. I was like, oh, I remember this person. I don't even want their number, but I had access to it just because I was a friend on Facebook. So literally, people you're not even friends with, it stores that information, and not just that, but their email and their personal number as well. Literally personal number. Because back in the day, people used to be quite liberal with it. I used to have my number on there. Then I took it off. I was like, I don't want random people and stuff calling me. But yeah, you can literally access so much information from that. It's worth having a look at.
Wow. I'm probably going to do that now.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
worth having a look. It's worth having a look.
Wow. Wow. But what's the end goal though? Like, obviously, the government is collecting all the information about everybody, always doing all this. What do you guys think is the end goal for all the information gathering that they're doing? Like, why? What's the reason for?
For example, when you go onto a website, you'll see these adverts coming up and showing, oh yeah, you were looking for this particular product. Now it's gone 50% off. You should buy it. It's like I think that's what we're gonna get to is when we're going on TV, for example. Those advertisements are all gonna be what we've been looking at using our Wi-Fi. So all that information is going to be stored about us. And then when you go onto TV channels, all those adverts that's going to come up will be only focusing on what you would.
On you. Wow. That would be crazy.
We're already there, Femi. If you think about it, with Google and YouTube, and they own, so the big companies like Facebook owns Instagram, so there's all the information going on there. Twitter's got its own thing going on there, and all these companies like they're just cycling information, and that's all they're doing. They're just collecting it because that is actually what's valuable now. If you look at what was valuable when it comes to, for example, you needed to go to university to get an education, or you wouldn't be able to learn this kind of stuff. Now our generation, we have that unless you bought a textbook, but you wouldn't know which textbook unless you went to the library, and there's all these like hard things to find. Unless you knew somebody in that field that could recommend, it's a really hard process. Now all this information is available to you on your mobile. So it's free. Literally, you can learn any skill you want for free now. I think we were saying this a couple of podcasts ago as well. But the difference is now, it used to be the money that was important, but now the information is the actual value, the commodity. If you get a list of a mailing list or this kind of stuff, that's actually used as, that's why companies go, have this free thing. We just need your email to email it to you. And then they've got a mailing list. That to them is worth a serious amount of money. That's worth more than the actual free product they're giving you. And that's what I mean. We're going to come to a point where money doesn't matter as much more because it's all about the information.
Wow. That is crazy. It's just about information. And also, you guys, the face, is it the face? I can't remember the face mapping where they can map somebody else's face onto a video, and it usually looks very genuine. Like if you go on YouTube and like just type in like, I don't know, face mapping or face swapping or whatever, you'd see like people mapping in like face of celebrities and then putting it on another celebrity or putting it on another act or whatever, and it looks so real. It's like, and it's all done by AI. Like, it's so crazy. When I was watching, I was like, wow, they can use this to set someone up if they want to. Like, let's say if they want to set you up and say you committed a crime, and then they just act out like a robbery or something, and then just map your face onto it, and that's it. You've been set up. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I can't imagine how the future from now, maybe 30, 40 or 50 years from now, I can't imagine how it's going to be. It's mad.
It's going to be a scary world. And, things are going to be different. Maybe evidence for someone committing a crime might be, having to look into it in a lot more detail, investigating it. Maybe videos aren't going to be enough. And they're going to be witnesses, videos, voice, sound, everything they have to look into a lot more thoroughly than ever before.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's
scary.
I can't even imagine.
For example, I know quite a lot of people. For example, in Kurdistan, there are girls who, sort of like people taking their photos and putting it into a profile on Instagram and writing themselves out or or some Facebook profile with their pictures and sending messages to all the person's family and saying, oh, I'm a prostitute, I'm a bitch, I'm things like this. You should, saying some negative things, which then those people who are receiving the message are thinking, what's going on with this girl? Why has she all of a sudden become this, different person? And they have to, and then the person turns out and says, oh, this is not my profile. This is, someone making it up. My pictures. It's like, what is it?
Yeah, that's mad.
We are gonna face a lot.
Man.
That's the scary area.
I know. And I actually think, and also I think aliens will soon.
What was that?
I think we're soon going to be visited by aliens. You in 10 years from now, I don't know, 15 years from now, or maybe 20 max.
I swear they've been here and done that and that. I think what it is, I think they've been, if they have been, I mean, I don't think we're on our own in the solar system or whatever the biggest term is or whatever. But at the same time, I think with the human mind is that we only see what we can see and we think, oh, it's going to happen. It's like the people that go, Jesus has come and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, he could have come and gone. Like, it could have been simple. He could have gone and gone, nah, ain't worth it. I'm gone. Like, we only think of it from our perspective. Like, it's going to happen in the next few years and that. Most of the time, it's not even that bad. But
It's like,
trust me.
What I've been
crazy.
imagining before, as a young guy, as a kid, was how we had Neil Armstrong visiting Moon for the first time. Maybe the aliens have some sort of Neil Armstrong person who visited Earth for the first time. And figure.
Do you know what's funny? Actually, speaking of that, there was something that I was going to come to as well. Is that I was reading an article about, he always like, people like trying to sell you stuff and they're like, oh, this is invented by NASA. This is NASA grade stuff, right? So I was like, half these stuff is like rubbish. And I was thinking, what is technology? Obviously, a lot of inventions and stuff come from there. So I was looking at like what technologies came from NASA, and it turns out like if you put money into NASA, it gives you loads of technology that ends up making the government like a load of money and stuff. So literally, I've got a list here of like, was it 30 things? So they've got like the LED mouse, like the wireless mouse that came from NASA. Yeah. Like, it's crazy.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Water filtration systems, wireless headset, smoke detectors, like all of freeze-dried food, like even camera phones. That kind of stuff was all invented by NASA. Seriously, yeah. I was like, this is crazy. That I was like, I just can't believe it. Memory foam mattresses, because obviously this stuff is, all of this stuff came from like maybe not the versions that we see now because they've been adopted for down on Earth, but the original portable computers, 3D food printing. The athletic shoes with like the not the sponge. Back in the day where everybody used to have like Nike Air Maxes with the bubble in it.
The bubble, bubble.
Yeah.
They came from astronaut shoes.
That's crazy, man.
I was like, what? Again, this is the kind of good side of. I'll stick it in the chat, but it's the good side of technology. But I just thought that was crazy because I was like, this thing's been invented by NASA, or whatever. I was like, yeah. NASA grade technology. Even things like I saw when they finished the marathon and they put the blanket around them, the reflective blanket to keep the heat in.
Yeah.
That was invented by NASA as well. So literally, they just invented all these things because the atmosphere in space is completely different, and they've got to adapt to the different situations. But hey, maybe the aliens. About the alien thing, maybe they have been here, and even then they release footage, but then they don't seem to care that much. But I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm kind of about it, but also I'm like, in the concept of the universe, I think we get stuck in our own heads about not even how big we are, but in the fact is we are kind of nothing.
I know,
And
yeah.
that's where it could come and like wipe us all out, and then we'd still be worried about, oh, does Stacey think my hair looked a bit gay that one time? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's an interesting area. I mean, about NASA. NASA's the only one who's able to communicate with, obviously, with the technology they have with the outside world. Who says, they're not communicating with those aliens in other planets and trying to get all the technology information of how to do things, and then send it off to the government.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually true, because the Oculus Rift, the virtual reality goggle thingy.
Yeah.
That already was invented in like 1960. Like it was already there, like the fully functional Oculus Rift. Exactly like how it is now. It already existed in the 1960s. So it's not new. They've already if you actually check on Google, they even did one that's even better. That's even better than we have like today. So and that was during like the 1960s. So it's like all the technologies and everything. I think they're already in contact with aliens, and aliens give them that's why give them the knowledge or the blueprint of how to build it, and then mass produce it. So, and that's why I feel like by having this rapid growth of technology, that's why it's so quick, because I feel it's true. They're probably already speaking with aliens already, and just doing stuff. Yeah, and they're gonna be like, oh, the human race, hey, wait, we're gonna introduce. We're finally human race. We're all gonna be there watching on our television.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, because back in the days, apparently, I was watching this documentary. I mean, I'm not fully believing of this alien situation until obviously there's some full evidence. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's interesting that back in the days during the Egypt days, the Egyptian era, when the pyramids, we still have technology to recreate that from then what it was today. I mean, apparently, obviously before the Alexander the Great burning down the library, where for so many years of fact and history, obviously, and information. The fact is, no one can recreate those pyramids, and those pyramids are so perfect. I mean, some random slaves of humans without food and water can't create that.
I know that's the history they try to feed because how can they? I know. I think I might have seen a documentary quite similar to that, and they were explaining that it's if we tried building the pyramid now, we would need like 10 cranes, to lift just off the pyramid.
Yeah.
10 cranes to lift up one block of that.
Even more, but that's how heavy it is. So if you're telling me that you managed to create that, how the hell? Yeah, and bear in mind the population wasn't so much. Okay, and unless even using all those kids and children, and they wouldn't even be able to help anyway. So how did the hell they recreate those pyramids? And bear in mind, in the pyramids there are some pictures and symbols of ways of life, as they say. So, for example, there's one like two. If I can send the pictures, I will later on. So there's these pictures where they use torchlight to communicate, sort of like some sort of like Wi-Fi to each other. It's a bit weird. You need to see the pictures, but it seems like there was some technology they were using back then, and there's these sort of UFO figures and things like that in those symbols, and maybe they did communicate with aliens and aliens assist, but obviously these days and facts and figures, they don't want that to be true. Because apparently people will freak out, say, you know, oh, we do have beings among them.
Yeah, that's true. Even when I was doing all those research like long before, like way back when, and there's so many like theory and conspiracy theories that were like, that there were a bunch of aliens that came onto this planet and tried creating, obviously infused their own genes with like gorillas or monkeys on this planet, which obviously became the first human, and then they gave us like the technologies to help them like farm gold or something like that, and then that's how we got like all the technologies to be able to build the pyramid. And there's so many conspiracy theories about the past, and it's a shame that we don't know what our past really is. We don't know our origin. We don't know what our purpose is. We're just here, and we don't even know how we even got here.
Yeah, man. But that's the fun of it, though. I think that's part of the fun of it. At the same time, like with the constant situation with like, it's like, you know, you get a video game and you're like, and then you get all the cheats. You're like, oh yeah, I've got all the cheats. I can reach maximum level and blah 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 and blah blah. And it's like an open world game. We don't know the controls and we're just getting on about life. But the kind of meaning is to kind of, I've realized, to find meaning, whatever's around you, and try and leave this place a little bit better than you found it. You know, as simple as that. But I think people try to overcomplicate things and make it, but like, I think in reality, it is even like the meaning of life. Life is just life. Why are we on this planet? We just here. We don't know. I was listening to one of the guys, the gurus that I like listening to, but he's like, he was talking to this guy that was not fundamental. He goes, but he was like, he goes, what? Because we keep God as insurance. He goes, what happens is that you're on this planet. You know we're here. We're not sure what's up. We're not sure what's down. We know that we exist, and we see other people existing. So he goes, if you are so sure there's a heaven, you must end your life and go today. Why would you delay it? Why would you delay on this hellhole if you think heaven is better? Why would you do that? The only people that think that are the fundamental people, what we call fundamental, whatever, Muslim, Christian, Hindu, whatever. Then people are then going off and committing these acts of atrocity. So I thought that was really interesting about that. But yeah, just kind of like, I've realised I used to think a lot about, what am I here, what am I doing, blah, blah, blah. And at the end of the day, look, even if we're doing something like this and we're putting something out, and the good thing about even a podcast like this, right, we're doing something and we're putting it onto the internet. This can't be burned down. Once it's on the internet, this is there for life. Like, it's not like that library, the Alexander the Great library you're talking about, or like stuff that can just be burnt and everybody agrees. You don't burn that stuff down. That's history. This can be part of history that maybe somebody will look back in 250 years' time. Also, it could be looked back on, nobody can remember it, and then it's just us three having a conversation, which I think is kind of the beauty of it as well.
Yeah, that is actually true. That is very true, you know. But it's true. I see where you're coming from, Neil. That no matter what, even if we humans don't necessarily know our overall purpose, we just should know that we've been given life, right? And we need to just live it as best as we can, and try and at least live some sort of like a legacy that either you and your friends and family will remember you by, or live a legacy where a lot of people remember you by. Well, so which is it's pretty good to go by, which would keep, I feel like that in itself would keep most humans, or most people, to feel as if they have something or a purpose to accomplish. Because us doing this podcast now, I feel like, you know, that like, well, as you said, that we're putting something out there, and it's something we can look back on years from now and actually reminisce and be like, I remember the time when we were doing this, remember the time when we were doing that. And that's us creating a purpose for ourselves. That's creating a purpose for ourselves. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Man. Do I do one? Yeah. Is the one sleeping? You're the one.
I don't know. I don't know what's happened to him. Hope. Oh, there he is.
No, I mean,
but it's.
Yeah, have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, go for it, one.
and I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we don't know what sort of future, we'll be having, and I mean, these. It's quite interesting the fact that what Neil was saying, that back in the days, you had to have physical information in terms of paper and writing, things like that. Whereas now it's all on the internet. People are quite spoiled. I would say that you go to your degree or your lessons or something like that, you miss it. You miss 5 lessons in a row. All you need to know what was the title of those lessons. And I'll go on Google with some teacher who actually teach me even better than the classroom itself.
Yeah, man. I've learned so much stuff from some Indian people. Some guys over in India. It's like, hello, I'm going to talk about fundamentals, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, man, I have learned way more than in class. It's big time.
I know.
How many times we use Google when we're doing our assignments?
I know. That's crazy. I know. I remember. Can you guys imagine how it would have been when you had to actually go to the library to read books? To imagine where, let's say, they give you an essay to write, or you have a project to do. You have, instead of using Google, imagine the people that lived in the 60s and 70s when the internet wasn't like a thing back then. Imagine how they had to actually cope when it comes to learning stuff, when it comes to actually completing like a job. What do you? I feel that would be difficult,
That's why nobody went. Why would you go if you don't know? It's learning. Yeah, it's part of the thing. And as you guys saying earlier, we've got everything. The thing is now, it's what you want to pay attention to that's the key now. So if you want to put all your time and effort into looking at a celebrity's whole life, they're literally putting everything on the internet for you to find. You can hide yourself away in that world. You can go somewhere and do something else or do something else. And you can, especially now where we're not allowed out the house and stuff, we need to use technology to communicate or research and find stuff out, or like to complete a degree like we did, like something tangible and usable. And you think about how many jobs we know about, we've applied for, just because they've been on the job site, which is on the internet. Like beforehand, you'd have to go to a job agency and blah, blah, blah. So it takes out the middleman more, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
Like beforehand, it used to be, or even news. We used to get our news from TV channels, and they'd have certain, you'd know, okay, this is a right wing, this is a left wing, and you just believe what your gut feels right. Do you know what I mean? Not, let alone left or right politics, whatever. You go, I think it's this, I don't think it's this. Cool. But now you've got the option of the internet, or now, have you seen that recent one of, I forgot the guy's name now, the guy in America that got shot, and the black guy in America that got gunned down by some vigilante people.
I think I saw.
Did you see who released the footage? His lawyer released the footage because he was like, he was running away. Of course, the internet's obviously going to be on our side. If that video hadn't come out, we would have no idea, and it would have been and they got off scot-free. It was in February, man. It's crazy. The lawyer was that. This is how mental he is. He was like, it was obviously wrong. Of course, that's why I've released the footage. And I'm like, but again, it's taken the middleman out. Otherwise, we wouldn't have heard about the story. It's again the social media. People have gone and go, this isn't right. This guy's just been gunned down for no reason. And I was talking to this about family, like we were watching. We'll talk about this. I was like, man, it would be crazy. Like I can't imagine living in a country where people just carry guns because they can. Like we've got a thing here where we've got not a knife problem, but we've got a few stabbings here and there. But I've never felt unsafe to leave my house, like without I don't carry a knife in order somebody else pulls a knife on me, and then that just confuses me, man. And I've seen people with guns, like not in America when I've been here with like the football or when like you see riot gear and stuff, you see that, and that's like stay away from that. But if just normal people are carrying guns, what the fuck does that say about your? I don't know. Is that weird? But it's like that says weird shit about your society, where you're like, I've got to be ready at all times to shoot people. And there's that old saying of like, if you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Innit? Like everything, it looks like, if you have a gun, everything looks like it could be shot.
That's actually that's true.
Black
no
guy,
idea what you're saying.
who got shot in I don't know where it was, in America or wherever.
South America, South America,
Yeah.
south of the US.
That's right. I think he was jogging or something like that, and then these white dudes just randomly turn up and say, gun this poor bastard down for jogging during the lockdown. I mean, have you ever seen that happen in the UK? Anyone jogging? I mean, yesterday I was watching this funny video. It's not funny. It's actually a real life situation where there's like 6 or 7 black people getting together, and 2 police officers show up. And just a question, look, we're in a lockdown. Just a reminder, really nice. And then what was actually funny was that these 6-7 dudes, black guys, when they see the police officer, they say, "All right, now jump." And then what they started doing was star jumping and things like that, just to pretend that exercising.
They're exercising.
Was it like a prank or something?
Yeah, it was actually a situation where the police officer was gonna, obviously remind them, went over to them and said that, you need to, we're in a lockdown. There's a reminder, please have a social distancing. And then the guys, just to make things, obviously, I don't know, funny or what, they just started doing exercise. They're actually exercising, getting a group together.
Get more people together, infect more people with the non-social distancing rules.
Exactly.
I saw if that was in America, the police officer would just pull out a gun and.
In it. What colour is he? All right, shoot him.
Yeah, in America, all 5 or 7 of them would have been shot.
Straight.
Each one on like some sort of execution.
Well, what it is as well is because I was in America, right, for a bit.
Yeah.
When I was traveling, and I had I had a couple of encounters with the police. Most of them were fine, and there was one guy, right. So in the UK, if you look left and right and there's no cars coming, even if it's a red light, you cross the road, and that's fine. Do you know what I mean? As long as there's no traffic coming, you're all right. So I had that mentality. Turns out that is illegal in America.
Is it jaywalking? Is that what they call jaywalking?
Bro, I didn't even know that word. So me and my friend, right? We were in Hawaii. I'm going from we look left, we look right, and we cross. And there's nobody coming. And the police officer says, "Stop right there." But I'm like, I can't stop, man. I'm in the middle of the road. Like, let me just get across the road. And then he goes, "You know what you're doing is illegal, right?" And I just look at him like confused, because I'm like, I'm not. I'm holding an ice cream. Like, literally, I'm just looking at the ice cream going, "What, you're not allowed to eat ice cream and walk? Like, what's going on?" He goes, "You're jaywalking." And I'd never heard that word before. But I thought it was a dance. Like, a jaywalk sounds like a dance. I thought, I'm just crossing. I didn't say a word, because I'm like, in these situations, he's got a gun. I looked at him completely neutral. Not with good, not with bad, not with good, just kind of like, just looked at him. And I, like, straight in his eyes, but I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I didn't say a word, because I'm like, look, I don't want anything to happen. I'm on the whatever. I crossed over, and he goes, "I'll let you off this time." And I'm still looking at him confused, because I'm like, I don't know what I've done. I'm crossed. There's no traffic. There's no one just crossing the road. So I went back to the hostel. Wow. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I was jaywalking." I just got done for jaywalking. And they went, "Oh," I said, "What does that mean?" And they explained to me, "You're not allowed to cross the road unless there's a crossing there. But some roads don't have crossings. So you know some places in the UK, like there's no lights. So you got to walk all the way down the end of the road, then press the button, then wait for the button, then the button goes green, then you cross the road, then you got to come all the way back." I was so confused, man, with this jaywalking. But I honestly, from the UK, I've never heard that term used. because we don't use it in the UK.
No.
I
know that it doesn't exist.
Yeah, sort of jaywalks, as they call it in the UK. Even myself, I don't know if it's even illegal or anything like that at the moment. Yeah, there's no actual law that.
So.
But in America, there's no.
I just think I don't want to obviously sound rude, but I just think because of Americans most time they don't necessarily use too much common sense. So when it comes to, I feel like rules like that needs to be created, because I feel like maybe there are times probably when the light will be red and cars will still be approaching, and maybe they might not using common sense to be like, okay, a car is approaching, let me make sure that car fully stops before I cross, and they just cross anyway and then get hit. But I think maybe Americans maybe because they don't necessarily use too much common sense. That's why the law of jaywalking is illegal or something like that. Because for me, I don't get it, but
what it is, Femi, I don't think it's an American problem. I think that's just across the world. Common sense isn't common. Like, I know people will talk about this all the time, whatever. But that's what I think. Like, this stuff, it's not related to a specific culture. Every culture in the world has got idiots, and got people that don't follow the common sense rules. Definitely. It's like that. We're looking at it recently, right? We're looking at it now with the coronavirus, and bring it back, the coronavirus, where there are people that are still going out and going, "You're taking my freedom away," and that's everywhere that's got locked down. Everywhere, but they don't realise that if you just obey the rules, you got a lockdown, then the less virus will spread, and then we could be out of this as soon as possible. We can be out of this soon. So I'm like, but again, that's what I mean by they're just like, they're trying to keep me down. They're not letting me get my milk. Well, then you can get your milk. Like, shops aren't closed.
I know. Do you know what I feel like? It's like, if the government or the shadow government or whatever really, if they want to take away their freedom, right, take away people's freedom, it won't be this obvious. It really won't be as obvious as this. It's like, if they want to, they're already doing it, like, little by little. Like, can you tell me that you're free to say whatever you want? No, you're not. You can't. You have to be careful of what you say. You have to be careful. Our freedom is being taken away bit by bit, and we're letting it happen. So this lockdown, whatever, it's for me, I just see it as it is just to get this virus thing out of the way and whatnot. But in terms of our freedom being stolen away, that's already being done every single day. It's done on YouTube, it's done on television, it's done everywhere.
What do you mean by that exactly?
Just about being now, if you imagine now, like, when I say that in terms, the peace culture that we've all now inherited or all now adapted to, where you can't necessarily say something, because if you say it, you might offend everybody and you might end up losing your job, losing your life, whatever. Basically, that even on YouTube now, there are certain stuff in, like, content you can post, and there's certain content you can't post. It sort of depends. Like, if you're saying something that goes against the government or whatnot, you can't say that. If it's something for the government, you're free to talk as much as you want. So, and that's done prior to this lockdown. That's all been done before all this lockdown stuff. So when I'm saying our freedom is being stolen away, it's like, in terms of let's say the way people think, we're not allowed to necessarily truly think. We have to always be watchful of what we say. We have to always be watchful of what we do and stuff like that. So that's just how it is.
But you know what, Femi? To be honest, as well.
Literally.
To be honest, that's the same thing. That's the same. Without trying to say your point's wrong, because it's not. It's the same thing people said 50 years ago when they couldn't call black people the N word. Kind of, they use the same rhetoric. Not to say that you're insinuating or whatever, but I get what you mean. But it's not. It's but I can say what I want because I'm allowed and freedom of speech and stuff like that. And the thing is, you are allowed. If you go, if you go to like town and stuff, you'll get an imam doing his prayers there, and you'll get a guy that's shouting at people about Jesus there. They're allowed to do this stuff, and it's only when it starts getting violent and stuff. But I think the perception is the reason why these companies are doing that is because if you're YouTube, right, and you get uploaded content that's, I don't know, some ISIS video of a guy getting beheaded, and that goes on YouTube, the media will automatically go after YouTube. Why are you allowing this on your site? Why are you doing this? And what that will mean is that as an advertiser, if you run a guitar company, you go, hang on, I don't want to have my advertisements associated with ISIS videos. I don't want to be promoted on ISIS videos. This is stupid. So we're going to withdraw. So that's why they're doing it. It's not because at the end of the day, they still have like quite right-wing channels, quite left-wing channels. There's just so much that goes on YouTube. And the problem is there's a lot of bad stuff that goes on with like people drinking bleach, people go, oh yeah, you can eat this fabric conditioner and it will improve your immune system, make you immune to COVID-19. Now, there are people that are going to try that, but their people need to take responsibility for that action. But them listening to them people and taking a stupid thing, and like, of course that doesn't make sense. And the government can come out against it, and this can come out against it. But the reason why is because stupidly, YouTube were held responsible for this information. So they've gone, right, we're going to start banning certain words and blah, 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 and all this stuff starts coming out. It's a reason why, that's the reason why. It's because they get scrutiny, because the advertisers take their advertising dollars back. That's why I think it's not because they actually care. The information you put out, they just want people to get views. They don't care, regardless if it's left wing or right wing. As long as, if anything, if it sparks a reaction, then they get more money because more people are going to visit the site. Do you see what I mean? So I don't think YouTube really cares what information it's getting out, but they care about what the reaction is from the advertisers, and they don't want to be associated with people that are swearing, people that have not right-wing opinion, any opinion that's completely controversial like we're doing. Do you know what I mean? Some people will be interested in it, but not too many people will be interested, because if we're saying something like this, we're going to go, oh, this video is sponsored by Wikipedia. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just going to seem weird. So I think that's the real issue. I don't think people's rights inherently have been infringed on that much, because you can still go out and say stuff and do stuff. But it's just the system that we're in at the moment, and especially now, we're not. It just helps them stop certain things, like the bad words being not bad words being said, but at the end of the day, they care about how much money they're making. That's it. So anything that gets in the way of that, left wing, right wing, whatever, misinformation, they're gonna try and put a stop to it. So that's what they're doing now with like the COVID-19. That's why they've got rid of like the COVID-19 thing. They're saying we're not going to make any. We're going to put links to actual World Health Organization and stuff. The people that are going, it's a hoax. People are pretending. Go and drink this bleach and you'll be immune from it. That's what they're worried about. Do you see what I mean? So the actual freedom in that, I don't think there's. The thing is, what we're talking about, I bet you there's videos and stuff on YouTube, and there's channels that are completely more controversial than us. Like people that are talking about like racism and saying we hate this kind of person, they shouldn't belong in our country, or blah blah blah. They're allowed, but they're going to get banned eventually because advertisers don't want to be associated with that at all.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it. Juan, you still there, man?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Oh, sorry, man. I couldn't see an icon. I was like, okay, he might have dropped out.
It's just interesting, isn't it? Listening to, I mean, the concept of where, how things are in terms of, the technology and the things that we were pointing out. I mean, it's difficult to say what you want to say, like, for example, like what we were saying, a lot of things like how America should be, or things like the road having jaywalking not allowed.
I mean, in America, the biggest issue is being sued. Like there's this saying in America that oh, I wish I could get out of the house and get hit by a car so I could sue someone. I mean, that's how it is. Honestly,
Wow.
95% of all suing come from America. I thought that was crazy.
Wow.
I think I heard that today or yesterday.
It's ridiculous, and that's why some of their bans in America, things like jaywalking, things like that, is there because of this situation of how easy someone can sue someone else because of extra money they can get. I mean, it's sort of it's a weird stab, but it kind of supports their situation. So, for example, for in terms of preventing suing, they have these bans of, like, for example, can't jaywalk, or for example, the easiest thing they can do to prevent shootings is ban weapons, but they don't do it. It's like, come on, man, all you have to do is just say, look, weapons is unnecessary. Look at UK. Well, why do you need guns? Oh, because we're preparing for World War III. Look, mate, you want your military to be prepared for that. So all you need to do is just stand back and look at the picture of where you can push your country to for a better opportunity. But they don't want that. They say, I don't know, they have this weird ideology which doesn't make sense, but it's just who they are, and they love their guns. They have different colors for them. They customize it. They have grenade launchers, RPGs at their backyard. It doesn't make sense, but it's something they're proud of, and maybe they just can't take it away.
It's true. Maybe until we have guns, maybe we can understand your way of thinking, because it's true. It's true. I don't get it myself. I don't get, obviously, why you would want to, carry a gun. It's like, it's a bit. I don't know. Maybe
if you've got one to defend your house, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But if you're you're going to a restaurant. It's like say us three are going to, I don't know, we're going to a Turkish place or whatever, and we're all got guns on us. Oh, we just let you know. Oh, what? Why? Like, what do you think's gonna happen? They're gonna murder me over shish kebab? What's going on?
Everywhere.
It's stupid. Can't be that good. It's only $4.99.
That would actually be funny, though. Imagine, we're going to a restaurant and we're like, have you all got your guns?
Isn't it? What are you planning? We're gonna rob the place. Somebody's got a gun on. We're gonna rob the place. Like, what the fuck? It's so funny that people, and especially now, people are going into. It's so funny. I was reading an article about this, reading a story about this recently. This guy got out of jail, but what he did is he put gloves on and he put a mask on, like to protect himself from COVID-19, and he pretended to be another inmate and just left. And so even now we can go into like stores with gloves, with masks on, which before this lockdown was like, this guy's looking to rob the place. Now this is just standard practice, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, in the next 2 minutes, I want your money, I want your clothes, I want your sunglasses.
Please don't. I'll cough on you. Just threaten to cough on them. You don't even got it, but you just fuck it. How
That would be. I know
I'll come within 2
be
meters.
funny.
I'll come within 2 meters.
That's funny though, because imagine you don't need a gun. Yeah. What was that?
I was saying in the recording videos of CCTV, all you're gonna see is just the shopkeeper. There's no weapon, nothing. He just hands over their money, and he'll say, "Well, I didn't do anything. He's over the money to me."
He's like, please, don't cough. I've got wife and children at home. It's just, it's funny.
Oh god!
The people that are wearing the masks, are not the robbers. The people that aren't are probably going to be suspicious of the guy that's not wearing the mask. This guy's the true robber of this place. I'll touch you. I'll come near you.
Oh man, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I don't know, man.
New
It's crazy
generation.
to go off topic. Yeah, to completely go off topic. Have you guys heard of a OnlyFans? Is it OnlyFans account? OnlyFans, like OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
Because I'm
Yeah,
trying. I
yeah.
want to start it.
I've
Yeah,
heard of it
it's like
through.
on YouTube.
Yeah. I've heard of it through
Yeah,
YouTube and people like promoting it and
yeah.
stuff. And there was memes going around of it, and I was like, okay, this is quite funny at the
Mhm.
same time. What would you think?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I want because there's something I want to talk about, and it's like it's a scenario because there's this guy
Just
on
the one know
YouTube.
what it is.
I can't remember.
No,
I
no,
can't remember. Yeah, do you know what it is, the one?
no, I don't know. What is that?
Uh, uh, Basically, an OnlyFans account is for people or for women mainly that would like to that are basically are selling nudes, basically. So they sell nudes, and yeah, that's basically what it is. So what I'm just saying, because there's this guy on YouTube that I can't I think his name is iDubbbz. Yeah, he's like some big YouTube star, and I think his girlfriend decided to create an OnlyFans account. So his girlfriend is now like selling her nudes to people on the internet. So my question is, what would you guys do? Let's say, like for you, the one, if your wife decides to create an OnlyFans account and sell her nudes to random strangers, and for you, Neil, let's say if you get married or your girlfriend decide to do that as well and sell her nudes, what would you do? Would you be supportive and be like, yeah, she's good, I support her in everything she wants? Would you be a bit pissed off? Like, what would you do in that situation?
Dawn, you got a wife. You should go for this first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be like, what are you doing? What's the reason for it? Am I not giving you as much attention as you want, or what's the situation here? Because I mean, I don't know if women who do that are doing it just for the money, or they're doing it just to, show that they, make themselves feel good about themselves because of, the amount of attention that they're creating. Because at the end of the day, some women are there just for attention seeking. I know a lot of women listen to this and say, well, he's sexist, but it's kind of true, my lady. It's unfortunately a fact for all women, like it or not. But it's crazy. I mean, why would you do that? Why would you want to do that? I mean, are you doing that for pleasure, or are you doing that because you think you're helping people out? Because I think that's a psychological issue there. For first of all, the person creating an account and selling off nudes, and the second of all, person who's purchasing or paying money to see pictures. All right, they're not very much physically in contact with that person. It's just pictures. So if you really need nude pictures, there is some newspapers out there that you can see from a shop, which is about how much it is, probably even 10p. There you can see some.
Why are you talking about that shit? It's got the internet.
Yeah,
exactly.
But what I mean, if they need
newspaper, you're my granddad. Shit.
If they need physical copies of it, but I mean, why would you do that at the end of the day? I mean, okay, maybe this is the next big thing to YouTube. People creating videos, stuff like that. Maybe fact that is it just pictures or is it videos as well?
Videos, everything, like literally everything. Yeah,
but
videos.
Do you also pay for a one night stand with that person, or is it just?
Nah, there's no contact. It's just obviously on screen, and it's just on screen. You just basically they will send videos.
Unfortunately, the area that we're in. And then those people who have the account of creating that off and the person paying it, I would say they need a psychological. Do
you know what? There is something there was a guy that I was watching. This guy called Glink, and he's done a video called "The Lonely Fans of OnlyFans." Really good documentary where he interviews some of these women. I just stumped. Well, again, the iDubbbz thing came up, and then I saw this, and I was like, oh, I'll give that a watch. But I'm not gonna lie, I watched it on private mode because I was like, I don't know where this is going. It's on YouTube. I was like, I'll give this a watch. Really, so it's, for anybody that wants to check it out, it's Glink, OnlyFans documentary. It's called the Lonely Fans of OnlyFans. Bit of a mouthful. Yeah. Really interesting insight. Some of these women are taking over like 15 grand a month, which is a lot of money. Have you watched that one, Sammy? Is that the one you watched?
And I've not watched it. I've not watched it. I've just heard the amount of money they make, and I'm like, wow. So there are like a lot of men out there who are willing, when you've got the internet that exists, who are willing to spend so much money on something you will never have. It's so crazy to me. And the fact that they make a lot of money from it is, I don't know.
The thing is, what it is, it's fantasy, Femi. It's fantasy, and people pay lots of money for that. And we all do it in our own ways. We all have our own escapes. Whether I've got my the music that I listen to, that's my little escape. The people have got that, and the thing is, I think in the long term, it's gonna. Because the thing is, what there is now is if you want to go and see, this is what I don't get is that they're saying it's the next evolution of. So we've had like the newspapers that had like the page 3 girls and stuff. Then all of a sudden they came to like porn videos and them. Then now they're talking. Now they've got then now you've got unlimited porn. Literally, you can see whatever weird niche you're into, you can find on the internet within seconds. Now this I think is the next evolution where if people are kind of they're porned out now. They're kind of like there's too much porn. There was a joke. Who was it? There was a joke where it's like, "Haven't we got enough porn? Why are we creating more porn? There's enough out there. You're not going to watch all of it. It's fine." And then so this is the next step in evolution of that. So you get that kind of contact with somebody, and you get that relationship, but then you get that as well. So it's like having this virtual if you watch the OnlyFans, it's a really well done documentary by Glink. I really recommend everybody to watch it, and I'll send it to you afterwards, Femi. But I wouldn't watch that. It was a really good one.
Yeah. But then, do you know what that's saying about our society, though? It's saying that we as a society are getting a lot more isolated and lonelier. We're getting more lonelier now we've got to a point where we hardly interact with people. Not us in general, but I'm just generalizing as a society, because if there's some people that can create an OnlyFans account and have like a lot of people pay money just to have a bit of contact, one they will never meet, but because of they are somewhat lonely and are unable to get that contact in the real world, they resort to obviously paying for it, and it's not even that they're not even going to physically meet them, they're just paying for a virtual contact. It just goes to show that our society is getting, we've got phones and everything that we can use to call people, we even want to speak to them, but in terms of physical contact with each other, it doesn't mean that we're getting a lot more isolated, or are we just going crazy? Because I don't know, for us to go that route, to be going into that route of I don't want to say degeneracy or something. I don't want to say that, but for us to go that route, it's a bit strange, really. I don't know why.
I think we are getting more lonely. I think we are. I think society, it's just the natural thing where we're not, and especially in times like this hopefully will be now that barrier has been taken away from us completely, where we've gone, we can't be around other people, and we're naturally social people. So if you isolate yourself, or we're self-isolating, it's not good. It can, as we found out just from reports and stuff like that anxiety's gone up, depression has gone up, and it does make sense because because I was looking at it as well. There was another documentary by an Indian guy who went on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he was talking about we're natural social creatures, because before, when we were cavemen, you had to be part of a tribe to survive. That's why but you get people that looked after the tribe. You'd have different roles. People would be go out and hunt, people would cook, there were just different roles, and also some people are night time. Some people would be wired, like my brother is, to be awake at night. His biology is just he just can't sleep that much in the day. He prefers to just be awake until like 4 a.m. and then he'll go to bed. And that's so that there's always somebody keeping watch of the tribe. And so the idea is, if you were isolated from the tribe, you were on your own. It's like you were cast out into the wilderness, and there's nobody looking after you apart from yourself. And that has real negative consequences for a human. Because if you, for example, even an animal, if you're a lion and you see a lonely deer, you go, right, that's dinner right there. So we've developed in our brains social ways of being part of a tribe. Now, for one reason or another, with technology advancing, people are being less and less frequent into these conversations, and they're separating themselves. But at the same time, if the technology is there, you've just got to make the effort and actually go and do it and find that out. But I agree, man. We are becoming lonelier for sure as a society, and this is something that's new. This is something that happens to elderly people. It's something that happens to, I think, the way our society is structured as well, where if you want to get this job promotion, to get a house, to live on your own, to have independence and stuff, that process, and also a 40-hour work week, you can't go and see your friends as much. And it's not like university where it's more. So there's all these other factors that have played in as well. If you don't it's like a relationship. If you want to make it work, you have to put in the time and effort. And if you're doing that at work, you can't do that. You can't just invite your friend over to work and see it and stuff like that. So I think it's a multifaceted problem where if you want, we're trained to go, if you want the next promotion, if you want your own house, your own space, which I don't think is the worst thing. But there needs to be a way of like creating that community back, and that's what I think is the. But yeah, we are getting more isolated from one another. So if they can get this reward, if they're so like lonely and they think, oh well, the outside world has rejected me. If I pay this somebody and I can get validation from them, then it works. What was crazy actually, I'll tell you. I know I've banged on about me traveling a lot. There's a whole place in Japan. Japan's going through a real crisis of like stuff right now, because people are lonely, people are separating themselves and not going out, and even before this crisis happened. And so I was there with a friend and two other friends that were from Japan, from Tokyo. So the Shibuya Square, the one that everybody crosses in, the one on like the. We were over there, and he's like, "Oh, I'll take you to the district." And I went, "Oh, all right, cool. Like you know this place." And he had a little like smirk on his face. And I was so tell you who's taking me to like the equivalent of the red light district in part of China. I think I've told this guy's story already. And so we were walking down there, and there's like an anime girl with a teacup in her hand and a maid's dress, like a little skimpy maid's dress. And literally I was thinking, so what's that? And he goes, oh, basically these are, I forgot the word they use, but there's people in Japan that you go and visit and then you just speak to. And it's basically the same thing that they're doing on, they're dressed scantily or whatever, but they're there to just listen to you. And it used to be considered quite an important role because it's therapy almost. They're allowed to say what they want and do what they want. Not do what they want to the women, but the women will serve them. Okay, that will be 20 odd yen. And they'll go, yeah, that's fine. And they'll pay whatever that amount was. And it's crazy, but at the same time, this stuff has happened forever. But it's just becoming more and more prevalent now, especially in the terms of like the COVID and stuff like that. These things are going to increase because people miss that human-to-human connection, regardless if you're introvert, extrovert, whatever. You do need that connection.
That connection, and that's what we're lacking, basically. Wow, that is crazy. That is mad. But definitely, Neil, you should send me that video because I want to watch it and see what. Yeah, man.
I'll send you the link.
About.
We're at about 1 minute 10 now, so I think we're going to end it here. But even though we can probably pick that up from next week. But the one, are you there still?
Yeah, still.
Sorry, man. I feel bad for leaving you out. Me and Pemmy
you're so quiet.
No, I'm not quiet.
Anyway,
I said, if we're physically there, I know how loud you are. But on the phone, you're like, you're so quiet.
No,
You're-
I'm just listening in, obviously, of these ideas and things, and it's just interesting because I'm trying to think at the same time, and then wonder, my mind is all these other areas where it could open, and there's so much you can say about it, but you can only say limit, obviously.
No, that's true. That is very true.
Anyway, I'll leave it there. We'll leave it there, guys. It's been thank you everybody for listening, for subscribing and liking, all that kind of stuff. That means one of you had fun once again.
Oh yeah, of course.
Now, what's that?
It sounds like you're in an airplane. I'm going to end it here, Femi. But yeah, stay tuned next time. We'll probably kick off both on the OnlyFans and stuff like that. We'll kick off then. So everybody, goodbye, and we'll see you all later.
Thanks, guys.
Goodbye, man.